Hello everyone, this video will be explaining the causes that led to the Lebanese Civil War by Bashar Farhat. In 1975, Lebanon, once known as the Switzerland of the Middle East, collapsed into a brutal civil war that lasted 15 years. But why did this happen? Was Lebanon already doomed from within, or was it pushed into war because of outside forces? To understand Lebanese civil war, we need to talk about both sides of the story. Lebanon gained independence in 1943 and adopted a unique political system called the National Pact. This system divided power among religious groups. The president would be Maronite Christian, the prime minister would be a Sunni Muslim, and the speaker of parliament would be a Shiite Muslim. At first, the system cleared stability, but over time, it became increasingly fragile, especially as the population and political realities changed. So the first explanation for the war focuses on Lebanon's internal problems. The political system was based on sectarian divisions, meaning power was distributed according to religion rather than merit or democracy. As the population changed, many groups, especially Muslims, felt underrepresented and excluded from the power. At the same time, economic inequality grew. Wealth was concentrated in Beirut and among certain elites, while many rural and poorer communities were left behind. This created social tension and frustration. Political instability also increased. For example, the 1970 presidential election was decided by just one vote, showing how deeply divided the country had become. From this perspective, the Lebanese state was already weak and divided. The war was not a sudden event, it was the result of long-term internal tensions building up over time. But how did these tensions turn into actual war? The immediate spark came in April 1975 in an incident known as the Bus Massacre. After an earlier attack on a Christian militia leader, members of the Falangist militia ambushed a bus carrying Palestinians in Beirut, killing many of its passengers. The event triggered a cycle of revenge attacks, and violence quickly spread across the country. Soon, Lebanon was divided into different armed groups and militias, each representing political, religious, or ideological interests. On one side were mainly Christian militias, such as the Falangists, who wanted to preserve the existing political system and limit Palestinian influence in Lebanon. On the other side were Muslim and leftist groups, often allied with Palestinian organizations like the PLO, who pushed for political reform and greater representation. These alliances were not always simple or stable. Different militias had their own interests, and loyalties often shifted through the war. Over time, the conflict became even more complex, involving multiple factions, local militias, and eventually foreign armies. However, many historians argue that internal problems alone cannot explain the war. External factors played a crucial role in turning tension into a full-scale conflict. After 1970, following the events in Jordan, Palestinians from the PLO moved to Lebanon. They established a strong military presence and used southern Lebanon as a base to fight Israel. This changed the balance of power inside Lebanon and created conflict between Lebanese groups. Soon, foreign countries became directly involved. In 1976, Syria sent troops into Lebanon, claiming it wanted to restore stability, but also pursuing its own strategic interests, just like all the other groups. Israel also became involved, especially in 1982. They launched a major invasion aimed at eliminating Palestinian forces and reshaping Lebanon's political situation. In fact, foreign intervention in Lebanon was not new. Historically, Lebanon's internal conflicts often attracted outside powers, making the situation even more complex and difficult to control, just like the British and the French before them. So, Was the Lebanese civil war caused by internal divisions or external intervention? The answer is both. Lebanon's internal system created deep divisions and made the country vulnerable. But it was the involvement of external actors that intensified the conflict and made the war last longer. As some historians argue, the Lebanese civil war was the result of an interaction between internal weaknesses and external pressures combined. Without internal instability, foreign powers might not have intervened, but without foreign intervention, the conflict might not have escalated into such a long and devastating war. The Lebanese civil war shows us that history is rarely caused by just one factor. Instead, it is often caused by the result of multiple forces coming together at the wrong time. And understanding these complexities is what helps us better understand not only the past, but the present situation as well.